On a mission to eliminate racism, empower women, and promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. This is the YWCA Hour with your hosts, YWCA Executive Director Karen Bell Dancy and YWCA Associate Director Maisha Essex. Welcome in to the YWCA Hour.
Good morning and welcome back to the W with Karen Bell Dancy and Maisha Essex. I am glad to be back in Lincoln, Nebraska. The last time that we were recording, I was actually in Scottsdale with our national leadership meeting with our YWCA USA. So it's good to be back in the studio. Today we're going to talk about restorative justice, which is a buzzword that a lot of folks may not be familiar with. But just to give you a little bit of background, restorative justice is a form of discipline. It used to be in the past that discipline was all built around punitive. And so a lot of school districts and other entities started working with restorative justice as a way of helping folks to accept the deeds that they've done and to understand that there are repercussions for your actions. And so with that, we have a program at the YWCA that's called the Girls Circle. And it's not rooted in all of the restorative justice principles, but it is a model about understanding who you are and how you affect others with your actions and reactions and all those kinds of things. So the reason why we want to talk about restorative justice is Maisha was involved in an experience this weekend that was rooted in restorative justice. And I cannot wait to have Maisha to share about that experience this past weekend.
Yeah, so in regards to restorative justice and what we do here at the YWCA, Karen talked about Girls Circle and that there are some components of restorative justice in there. We have a lot of different girls who come from, many different backgrounds. And so their experience in school, sometimes it's a little bit different and they're not able to connect as much as we would want them to the structure of the school or even to the adults within the school, right? And so sometimes some little things happen here and there that might get them removed from the classroom or need, extra support. And so we come in just to, as Karen said, to get them to understand self, to get them to understand how their actions connect with other people. And so that we can hopefully kind of intervene at a good point before it goes any further.
Right.
And so that's what happens with restorative justice. But what happens when harm is already done, right?
It's already rooted.
It's already, right? With our girls, it's not too much. We're trying to get in there here at a certain point, as I said, to intervene. But this opportunity that I had over this past weekend to go to another state to be an interviewer for these two families. And the theme around the weekend for most of the people there was healing and restorative justice. And I know you all are like, well, what was the harm?
Right.
Okay. Because restorative justice is really about connecting with the harm to make sure that you are restoring what was done rather than just punishing. And so the harm here, this was really interesting. I had to just hop on it because I've never heard this before, right? Which was two families. One family, they are the descendants of an enslaved person. In the other family, they are the descendants of the enslaver to the other family. And they were coming together to have this weekend where they wanted to make connection with each other. And you know what? The weekend had a very, very robust agenda. We were on location for a very, very long time, many hours throughout the day, because there was a lot of things that they wanted to do within that community. And really the family of the enslavers, the ancestors of the enslaver, they really wanted to make sure that community understood what happened there and to have some sort of acknowledgement and recognition of the harm and the pain that happened within their city.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Maisha? do you think that that community already had a fit and understanding of this past, of this history up until this point?
I actually not as much as you would think.
Okay.
This was in a state where slavery, it wasn't as many as if you would go further south.
Okay.
Right. And in that community, they didn't have many enslaved people there. And so when we went around the town, we definitely encountered a lot of people, especially young folks. We had a chance to talk to some youth, and they had no idea about what happened in their community.
I asked that because I think that that could be a critical part of how far the restorative justice would go.
The education piece.
Exactly.
Right. And so they did not, at that, again, we encountered a lot of people who just said, oh, I didn't know this was a part, of the history, which is so interesting because it didn't happen that long ago.
Exactly.
When you think about it, it actually did not happen that long ago.
Right.
And so we, so we had a chance to go around, talk to some people in the community. I had the opportunity to be the interviewer for the weekend. And so I was able to connect with both families and ask them about their experience over the weekend and, what were their outcomes coming into it, talk a little bit more about that agenda and the activities and why that was important for those certain activities to be on the agenda. And, at the end to talk about were the outcomes fulfilled this weekend.
Right.
And it was really great to go down there and again to see this experience play out in front of your eyes and to see, and then also to think about like what would I do if I met the ancestors of the people who enslaved, my family, right?
Right.
How would that feel? Thinking about that generational trauma, how do you work through that? To get to a place where you feel like there is restoration.
Right.
And so there were a few themes that just kept popping up, throughout the
I'd imagine there were.
throughout the time there. And my capacity wasn't the capacity that I have and I fulfilled on a daily basis here, as the associate director for YWCA, as the person who goes out and do a lot of training. And so it was really interesting to sit back and just watch it. Because, my role was to observe and then to ask questions about how they feel. A lot of, actually, my role throughout this weekend, which when we were processing it, I was the processor for the weekend, because I was the only one asking the questions about how do you feel after these activities and your outcomes and your goals. And asking about restorative justice and things like that. And so when they came in to talk to me, they were able to really kind of process what is going on and what were they feeling at the time. And again, some of the themes that came up, you had families coming into this and, restorative justice, as I said, is all about repairing the harm of the person, who was offended, right?
Repairing the harm, but for the one that we say is the perpetrator, accepting that responsibility, that they have to be the individual to promote the restorative justice.
Right.
So,
and looking at restorative justice and these two families, I think what's really important when you think about it is if you're going to go into a situation, and it doesn't have to be this very specific because I think they said like only 150, this has been done only like 150 times. So you don't have a lot of people at this point going out and trying to find or connect with the ancestors of the family that's done the harm, right?
So Maisha, can we help the audience understand what that process is like?
Well, it depends, right? Yeah. So that's it with them, as much as I can say, because, it's still in production and going through the things and it's a documentary.
Yes.
So, but with this particular family, it happened because of genealogy.
Right.
Right. And through them, the ancestors of the enslaved family kind of going back and figuring out, who they were and looking at their ancestors and discovering family, they discovered that one of the family name was mentioned in regards to an enslaved person.
Wow.
And so they reached out to that family and I guess just made the connection, right? Of this is who we are. This is who I am. Here is what I'd like to do. Right.
And with out a prompt that this is what would be the result of doing this genealogy
Mm-mm.
study, because we have a lot. There's so many people that are now finding that piece interesting and wanting to figure out,
Yeah.
you know, who they are, where they
Hmm.
come from, who their ancestors were, for a variety of reasons.
For a variety of reasons.
So,
And I
yeah.
know with this particular group, one of the families, especially the family of the enslaved, they are
Mhm.
really connected to their ancestors and to the history of their family. And so for them, I know
Wow.
this was very, very important to them because they
Mhm.
honor their ancestors, and to
Okay.
honor the past and to honor the experience of their ancestors was extremely important for them. And so I think for them,
Mhm.
this was, good in regards to just making the connection, right,
Right.
with their family,
That's
because
amazing.
this is something that they consider very important, their
Mhm.
ancestors. And so
Okay.
finding another ancestor and finding out about them and being able to
Mhm.
honor them, I think that was a good thing, for the descendants
Yes.
of the enslaved family.
Amazing part of a journey.
Yes. One of the themes, reparations and
Okay.
restorative justice, is what I was hearing. I was hearing healing. I was hearing
Mhm.
a lot of things
Okay.
throughout this weekend, and um, trying to figure out who wanted what. And when and where was really interesting, because again, when you do something like this in the restorative justice piece and you're trying to reconcile with harm done, you
Mhm.
definitely have to make sure that you are connecting with the people that have been harmed, right?
Yes.
To figure out how they want to be restored and
Right.
replenished and repaired.
That's critical.
That is extremely
Yes.
critical when you are talking about, again, connecting with the harm done,
Mhm.
instead of it just being a punished guilt
Right.
thing. It's about everybody being restored. Of course, the those who were offended, but then also the ones who did the offending,
Right.
right? Because
Exactly.
um, they definitely felt an obligation as a family. And I
Mhm.
know a lot of people, when they think about this, they're like, "But we didn't do it." Right?
Uh,
That's one of the things. Is
we hear that a lot. So that absolves me of any guilt
yeah,
or any responsibility.
right,
It was
right.
my ancestors,
It was my
not me.
ancestors, right? But we also know that a lot of people are benefiting from the system that created.
Yes.
You're still benefiting
Yes.
from the enslavement.
And that's how privilege is created.
Hmm. Yeah, you're still benefiting from the enslavement of
Mhm.
people and what was created on literally like on their backs, right?
Exactly.
And so, and a system was created, right? Because out of that became racism, right?
Right.
To ensure
Exactly.
that this certain group of people, black people, we're talking about black people now, so so that black people in this country, that
Yeah.
they remained at a certain level in this
Right.
country, right, and
Mhm.
seen as a certain kind of
Without rights.
without rights and human in this country. And so
Exactly.
racism happened. We had a lot of policies come into play, right, to ensure
Mhm.
that they weren't equal. So, and to ensure that they were not equal, but that you also had a different start in life. So
Right.
you benefit from this structure. You benefit
True.
from the systems created. And so it is important that you deal with the systems created that
Mhm.
some of your ancestors created. The
Wow.
system that you are now benefiting from.
Yes.
And so we do have to deal with that because the system is still kind of predicated on the backs of other people.
Yes.
It's
And
only
it's still
by
creating the have and the have not type of
Mhm.
society.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's yeah. So there was that, of course, question and themed, and
Mhm.
that's good that the one of the families decided, hey, we're going to try to do something because
Mhm.
we know um how much harm our ancestor caused to the ancestors of this particular family.
Mhm.
And I bring up the the theme of restorative justice again because it's important to figure out what the other person needs
Yes.
to be restored.
That is true.
And if you move forward without doing that, and not saying this is what happened, again, this is just a
Mhm.
theme based off of the weekend, but
Right.
if you move forward with creating something
Mhm.
for the person you feel like you've harmed without them having input in it
Right.
and saying, this is what I need to be restored,
Yes.
then who is it serving?
Right. Exactly.
Who is it serving?
Yes. Right.
Because if they say, I don't need that, and that's not what I want.
Mm-hmm.
But you said, well, this is what I'm gonna give you anyways.
Mm-hmm. And you know what we find with restorative justice? I'm so glad you brought this point up, because there's a lot of times where what the victim needs is not something that's really, really huge. Sometimes it is that sincere, heartfelt apology. Sometimes it could be actions and it could be other things, but typically it's not something that's really, really huge that the perpetrator thinks that is necessary, because they are so rooted in that guilt.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they want to define the restorative justice themselves.
Yes, because and also it's hard to approach that conversation with the people you've offended and harmed.
Yes.
So you go off thinking, you know what? Well, I did this to someone. In order to make it right, I'm just going to do this, and then I'm going to present it to them and give it to them. But
now let's get over it. Let's move on.
Let's move on. But you have to have the conversation first. There needs to be a conversation to figure out how you harmed them, how it has impacted them, and then also what do they need to restore what you have taken away, or what you have damaged, or whatever it is. You need to have that conversation first before you just jump out there and decide to do those things, right?
So those are the steps. You are defining the steps for us.
Yeah.
So we're understanding the process now.
Right. And so again, you have to have that. It's a hard conversation. And a lot of people, you don't want to face that, right? You've already harmed someone. And so you just go off in your corner. You feel bad. You feel guilty. And you're like, okay, I'm just going to do this. If I stole something from him, I'm just going to buy the watch and give it back. Like that's what you feel like. Yeah.
Restorative justice.
Restorative justice. Like that's what
penny
it is.
For penny, pound for pound.
Right. And so, like you said, you just want to give the watch back. I stole the watch. Let me just give it back. I feel like that's what it's going to do to restore them. But you don't know what else that could have harmed.
Yes.
With you stealing from them, what that mentally that could have done to them, make them feel unsafe. Trust. There's so many other things that your one action could have done to harm them. And so, like you said, when you come to them and see what you need to be restored, they may not even want the watch back. What if they have insurance and they got it back already? So what I mean? That's not what they want. They need something else to help restore the trust in humanity and the trust in, all of that. So it could be, like you said, the heartfelt, apology that comes with it. It could be some other type of restorative thing where they know you're going through it and you understand what you did was wrong.
Right. And or the ability for them to just tell you what that harm felt like.
Yeah. So you can understand. Yes. And so there are just different ways for it, but you will not know if you're not talking to the person that was offended and harmed. And so that was just when restorative justice came up during the weekend. That was one thing that, I was thinking about is, how did these two families come together to express what they needed from this? And then also whose need is more than the other. It's also,
right.
Because we have two families and you may have a family, again, not saying this is that family, but you may have a family who carries this guilt. Yes. And then you have a family that wants to be healed and they want to, kind of move on and process it a little differently. Right. Well, if the way to move forward is clashing, then whose restoration comes first? Right. And takes priority.
Right.
Is it the guilt? That takes priority, or is it the people who have been offended in what they're doing, right? And so sometimes you have to figure that out, like whose restoration really, because really both people need some restoration, right? In this instance, but whose takes priority if you all can't come to a consensus of what's really, really happening here. And so
and with this process, typically it's mediated, correct?
I believe there's only been 150 done. And so it's not really you would think it'd be mediated. This is generational trauma that we're talking about, right?
That's what
and these are families who might have just been traumatized because they're finding out that their ancestor, owned someone. Right. And we all know what enslavement was. We know the experience around it. It wasn't something great and good and that they enjoyed and felt safe and secured because they have a place. It wasn't that. It was it was grotesque. Like it was this very harmful, violent entity that was created. I mean, that was, in place here. And so when you think about your family also had a hand in that, I'm sure that now puts something on you. Now you may have are starting to experience trauma or go through some mental
Right.
things, knowing that your family was a part of
Exactly.
harming another's family, and
Yes.
a part of creating the system that we live in today. And so I'm sure that there was a ton of trauma just sitting in that room and trying to understand, what happened and move forward. And of course, you need mediators
Right.
in that room, and they did bring some people in,
Yeah, okay.
to help mediate,
Okay.
and they, brought some people in to help to educate,
Okay.
you
That's
know,
good.
and so it really educates on the data of
Okay.
enslavement, and
Yes.
and then you did have somebody in there that was, whose role
Mm-hmm.
was to mediate in
Okay.
certain situations,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of help heal,
Oh,
right,
okay.
in certain situations. And so
Because that would be the ultimate goal, is that we're healing this generational trauma.
the ultimate goal, you know what, you would have to ask them the ultimate
Okay.
goal, and I did, so you'll see it
Okay.
if you watch the documentary. I
Okay.
did. You'd have to ask them what the ultimate goal is, right? Because healing in a weekend, wow,
Wow.
right? So
A weekend versus generation.
just generation, right?
Okay.
Healing in like 4 days is kind of a lot. I mean, it was
For generations
yeah.
of trauma.
I was there
That's
like
lofty.
Thursday through Monday, so we had a little time
Okay.
together.
Okay.
And so that is right.
Mm-hmm.
But you can start the healing process.
Yes.
You really can. You can start. You need to start somewhere.
Yes.
And so figuring out again, what are the outcomes of this weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and how do we move forward if we do move
Okay.
forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so one other word that was kind of thrown around during this time, again, there was restorative justice, there was healing,
Mm-hmm.
and there was guilt, there was
Trauma.
forgiveness, there was trauma,
Mm-hmm.
and really trying to figure out, can you release guilt? Can you forgive,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And still feel like you need to be restored and have restoration, right?
Okay.
And or are those, do they go hand in hand,
Mm-hmm.
right? Can I say I forgive you, but you still need to do something, right?
Okay.
Yes, we can come and have the initial conversation and say, you know what, I understand,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll choose to forgive you, but you still have to connect with the wrong
Okay.
that was done. And that can be two different things. I think
because is that to the satisfaction of the victim
Mhm.
or the perpetrator?
Right. Like,
So,
like again,
yeah.
whose restoration takes priority here.
Exactly.
And so, I had a chance to kind of look at that. And
Mm-hmm.
the other thing that was a theme that was on there was coming from this weekend was reparations.
Okay.
And
so we have restorative justice, and now we have reparations.
Right, but
What's the difference?
all right. I think there's
or
a
the
difference.
similarities. Okay.
I think there's a difference.
Okay.
Right. I don't. I wouldn't use reparations just so easily in a situation, because I think reparations is systematic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because enslavement wasn't this linear thing, meaning that only the people who owned slaves benefited from it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what happened.
Okay.
Enslavement created a system.
Right.
It created an economy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so one person cannot give reparations. You can try for restorative justice.
Right.
But you cannot give reparations. First of all, if you do find out that, your ancestor owned, and enslaved a person, they probably just enslaved one.
Right.
So again, where is the definition of your reparations?
Right.
And where does it begin and where does it end?
Yes.
I'm sure there's cousin, aunties, uncles, grandmas, grandpas over here. You got a lot of, if you're going to try to do it that way, you got a lot of reparations to do here. It's a web. It's too spread out for it to be this, you try to make it this linear thing. And again, that's you following one family.
Right.
You don't know all the other people that,
yes.
that was enslaved. And so is it really reparations for what has happened? No, it's not. Right. Because it's not this
and
linear
is that
thing.
Reparations quantifiable?
Right.
And we're eliminating qualitative pieces to that. Because I think a lot of folks think, when we think of the terminology reparations, that it's just a quantity type of thing. And we hear about the 40 acres and a mule. So if I give everybody that, we're done. We're good.
Yeah. And my thing
and that's a misnomer.
Yeah. And and when I think 40 acres and a mule, I don't literally think 40 acres and a mule.
Exactly.
It's the system. It's systematic.
Right.
Yes, we do want our 40 acres and a mule because what the 40 acres and a mule was supposed to give us, generational wealth. It was supposed to give us establishment. It was supposed to all these things that you took from us. That's what it's saying, Yeah. And so to think that one person can somehow give reparations is just not something that I believe can happen. Because like I said, it's not linear. It's systematic. Right. Yes. You have to, the system has to, just like we just said, that the ancestors themselves saying, well, I didn't do it. And we said, but you benefit from the system. So where it needs to be corrected is in the system because one person cannot do it. Now you can decide I'm going to connect with this family because again, restorative justice. I just want to connect with the harm done. Right. And do as much as I can with the harm done. And so I can see that this family, the families were, of course, trying to do that. But when we come back, we'll talk more about the role of reparations.
Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
You grew up on cereal for breakfast and you graduated into drinking coffee at some point as an adult. Now there's a place in Lincoln where you can stay caffeinated but eat like you used to. Control Coffee and Cereal Bar brings Saturday morning vibes to every day with locally roasted specialty coffees, Lotus energy drinks, and tons of breakfast cereals with toppings. And did we mention they have video games to play while you're there too? Control Coffee and Cereal Bar open 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on the weekends at 15th and Pine Lake.
Midwest Bank is now hiring in Lincoln. They have multiple banking positions open and are looking for dynamic individuals passionate about helping others and building relationships. With a family-friendly culture, competitive benefits, and unique perks, Midwest Bank is a great place to start a new career. Apply today at midwest.bank. Midwest Bank is an equal opportunity employer, member FDIC.
Why are some people more successful? Is it talent and determination, or did they recognize an opportunity? Discover a career that lets you help families reach their financial goals as you build lasting professional relationships, one with unlimited income potential. From Modern Woodman, a leading fraternal financial services provider.
I'm Modern Woodman Regional Director Sean Erickson. Call me at 402-483-6515 to learn about career opportunities.
Modern Woodman of America, touching lives, securing futures.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
Step into healing at Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery. Our team of top-notch medical professionals turns pain into progress with state-of-the-art treatments and compassionate care. Visit prairieortho.com and discover the difference in quality orthopedic and plastic surgery services tailored to your unique needs. Your health matters, and Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery is dedicated to helping you thrive. Reach your full potential. Embrace a better tomorrow with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers, and if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
Back to the YWCA Hour. Here are your hosts, Karen Baldancy and Maisha Essex.
Thanks for coming back and staying with us. Maisha was sharing with us her experience over the weekend, and it was rooted in restorative justice. And we were talking about generational trauma and healing and the outcomes when there are restoration experiences involved. And it's just been amazing to hear about how one family and then there's another family and how restorative justice brought them together in this experience over the weekend. Mm-hmm. So when we left off, we had started talking about reparations, and Maisha was helping us to understand the differences between restorative justice and reparations.
Yeah, as I was saying, it's not this linear thing. So it's not for one to give. It created a system. Mm-hmm. And there was different, experts out there who I am not one to talk about. That's why it's so complicated, right? If it was just about us going to go find who owned us, then I think everybody would just go, if they could go and find who owned your family and try to get reparations from that, but it's not like that, right? Because some people went through many different families. People, it's so many things, right? And so we know that it's not this linear thing of picking one person and being like, okay, so you somehow repair what enslavement did to these people, right? We can't do that, right? And so there are a lot of more highly educated and professional people out there who will talk about reparations and how that could be implemented structurally here. I've heard people say, education, right? Because for a long time, we were denied education. We know how important education is, learn how to read and write and all those things. Is it a way where education is free? Yes. We talked about, is it housing? Is it something on purchasing and buying land, right? Because that was taken from us and all those things. And so there are ways, but again, it's all systematic. It's high level. It's not just this individual trying to do. I think that's, if you're trying to do it on an individual level, what you're connecting with is restorative justice to me, right? That piece where you are acknowledging, right? You're educating on this smaller level. And I think you can do that, but I don't think you can call it reparations because you're just affecting what's happening at that moment in that experience with that family. You are not changing the generations of harm that has come before. Or not correcting the generations of harm that has come before, right? That needs to be done on a different level. Exactly. And so that's how I feel. And for the case of reparations, where people who are just like, well, why do we need to give reparations? Because people enslaved in this country, not only did they earn it, they're owed it, and they deserve it. And when I think about reparations, that's how I think about it. They earned it because it was free labor. right?
Right.
They actually built a lot of these places, the White House, for instance, but we built the economy, right?
Right.
Right. So we earned money that we did not get. We earned it. It's not something that you're just
earned
saying.
it for someone else.
We earned it for someone else and created a system for someone else that we did not
Yes.
benefit from, but we earned it because we put the work into it,
Mhm.
right? We put the work into it.
Right.
And so we did earn it. It's not something that you're just giving for free, something that Black people just like, well, I need a free handout. Give it to me. No, it was earned.
Right.
We're owed it because you never paid
It was that, yes,
Right.
that debt. that's
Exactly.
been
So we are owed.
and never paid.
And right, we earned it.
Yeah.
We earned it because we did the work. We did the work. You didn't pay us. Now now you owe us.
Mhm.
Now it's owed. And then we deserve it because all the harm
Right.
that we had to endure while enslaved.
Yeah. And Maisha, brings me back to our last presidential election.
Mhm.
Reparations kept coming up
Mhm.
during all the debates. And there were a lot of people asking, well, why now? Why does this matter? And it matters because that's what America was built on. America was built on that injustice, and it was built on slavery. And as you said, all of this hard work that was done by a group of individuals, a group of people, and it was just all rooted in racism. And so that's why the reparations is so important.
Yeah.
We have a lot of folks that don't really understand that, but as you said, it's just so high level.
It is very high level. And if anyone is saying, well, why now? You haven't been listening. When have we ever said we didn't want? This
Wake
is not
up.
a new concept
Can you
of
wake up?
reparations.
Yes.
This is what we have been. I mean, how long has the term 40 acre and a mule been around?
Exactly.
This is not a just now thing.
Yes.
If you say that, you just have not been listening
Mhm.
at all. And if you think that you can enslave a community and take away their rights and dehumanize them for like 400 years, and there is no type of restoration for that,
Right.
what are you doing? It makes me
Mhm.
think, if you found out that your grandmother and her mother and the mother before her and your great keep going back, if you found out that they endured years
Mhm.
of pain,
Mhm.
they were beat, they were raped, they were forced to work without pay,
Give up their babies.
give up their babies,
Give up
their
wives,
family
their
was
husbands.
sold, and this is your
Yes.
direct family, right?
Right.
Would you tell your daughter to just let it go, to give it up? Better yet, if you knew that your daughter and her daughter and then her
Mhm.
daughter's daughter was going to go through years
Right.
of being oppressed, beaten,
Mhm.
forced to work, would you tell them to give up justice,
Right.
to give up what's owed for you, and to just let it go?
Yeah. And Maisha, how many generations were these families? They were going back.
Oh, a lot. There was this one grandma was there, one of the as the ancestor of one of the enslaved person,
Okay.
and one of the people that we were really talking about that experienced harm
Mhm.
specifically in that area that we were in was her grandmother.
Wow.
So again,
So
when we
that's
say it's
6.
not that far
Yes.
back, because she's talking about her grandmother
Right.
and the harm that she experienced.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's like up to
Putting
6,
that
7
in
generations.
context,
Yeah,
that's 6 or 7
Generations.
generations
um,
that have had to
mhm,
live that harm.
to live that harm, and for you to tell people, oh, just give it up. Yeah, your grandmother went through all of that,
Right.
and her mother and her mother and her mother. But just let it go.
Mhm.
Just let it go.
Mhm.
Y'all, we can't let nothing go here. You know, how people are getting sued left and right.
Right.
Are you gonna tell us to let go of people
Right.
being beat and harmed and
Right.
forced to work without pay, and just let it
Yeah.
go?
So we had all these iterations in our history. When we're talking about 6 generations, that's why I asked you that. Amazing. We have slavery. We have Jim Crow.
Mhm.
We going through still iterations of inequity, inequality, injustice, and all of that. Each generation, they have what is a critical image of that whole generation, where it's still not where my family is equated to your family. There's still kind of
Mhm.
way where there's a difference.
There is a difference, and we still see that happening, to this exact day, right?
Yeah.
Where we are still being told and shown that who we are is not valued.
Right.
And we're still less than human. When we talk about restorative justice and changing system, even if you were for it, you know, when we've tried to integrate how as the harm, what we need to feel healed or to feel free, and we started to do the work of how can you make it, one of the things is make these places inclusive, right?
Right.
When we started that work of this is how you're going to repair and what we need to do in this country to repair, you see what happened. It's being snatched away. So we're not even starting on the basic level of what I said, which was conversation. And that's what that is. You know, a lot of that is starting out when we're doing the DEI work, is the conversation. And then we can do some implementation of policy to make sure that that is integrated well within a space or an environment. We can't even now have the conversation to even talk about how do we make a space inclusive. That is being taken away. Now what else is being taken away or trying is just the history in general of Black folks and all that we've done here in this country.
And endured.
All that we've endured, what we've done for this country. And that is now trying to be, they are now trying to strip that away, you know, and try to remove that from history.
So when you, thank you for mentioning that, because when you do that, you're stripping humanity.
Yeah.
When you try to, it's just not striking something out of a history book. You're trying to strike out people.
You're trying to show a group of a community, just like with Jim Crow era, just like with the prison system, just like enslavement, where your place is in society.
Yes.
And that you are not equal.
You're not equal.
And it doesn't
never matter.
Yeah.
Because we have erased you.
Yeah. Your contributions.
From the real history.
Yeah. Even though, again, just like slavery did, it has created this system and it has created an economic system where America is just, you know, seen as the forefront in regards to countries and the leader of everything. We have helped create this system you're benefiting off of. The same thing with the history of what we've done for this country. We have created so much. We've invented so much. We've done so much. American culture is definitely deeply rooted in Black culture. When you go out of this country and you see what they know about America in regards to music and other things, it is Black. Like, we are, that's what they don't want to tell you, is that American culture is deeply rooted in Black, that we even now you're benefiting off of it and still trying not to give us what we deserve, what we earned, and what we're owed. To this day, you're still doing that, and we're still fighting that. And we shouldn't have to. We just went through all, like you said, the iterations of oppression, and yet now the iteration of oppression in this time and age is just to erase what they've done.
Wow.
We'll be back.
We can't do that. We will be back.
Unearth the secret to long-lasting tires at Tread's Central Tire Pros, a league apart in commitment, service, and expertise. This isn't just about rubber meeting the road, but trust, safety, and surety converging in perfect harmony. This is where expectations are exceeded every time. Make your appointment today at Tread's Central Tire Pros just south of Cortland on Highway 77, or visit our website to explore our services. Remember, when it comes to tires, choose Tread's Central Tire Pros because we tread differently.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here, summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Rain, snow, or shine, John Henry's is here to keep your home's plumbing systems working properly no matter what kind of weather Nebraska throws at us. From unclogging toilets and drains to installing new water heaters and water treatment systems, John Henry's is your plumbing expert in the Lincoln and Omaha communities. Visit us at calljh.com or call
John Henry's. 435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to O Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
Authentic Mexican food is not always easy to find, but you can find it in Lincoln at Tacos Los Hermanos. Their birria tacos are worth the drive from anywhere in town, but their chicken, chorizo, al pastor, and asada tacos are also worth the trip. You can also try any of those meats in a burrito or quesadilla. You won't find a better toppings bar in the area or better dessert options. If you can't get there, don't worry, they do deliver as well. Stop by Tacos Los Hermanos for lunch or dinner today at 70th and Havelock Streets in Lincoln.
Your new Total Wine in Lincoln has the largest selection of wines, spirits, and beers, plus totally low prices and friendly service from our helpful guides. With over 8,000 wines, 4,500 spirits, and 2,500 beers, you're sure to find your favorites and something new. You can even order delivery, in-store, or curbside pickup. Find what you love what you find, only at Total Wine and More. Now open in Lincoln next to Gateway Mall.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio-video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
At Allo, we go beyond internet, bringing you faster speeds backed by an all-fiber network. We go beyond TV and phone service, delivering reliable, crystal clear connections. We go beyond customer service with local teammates and no robots for a hassle-free experience. We go beyond value, offering transparent prices with no contracts, hidden fees, or data caps. We even go beyond our office doors by working, hiring, volunteering, and living in the communities we serve. Go beyond fiber. Sign up today at allofiber.com.
Yesterday, your water heater worked just fine. Today, surprise! When you're out of hot water, just call the plumbers at Bryant. In most cases, you can get same-day water heater replacement. What you won't get is a costly surprise with the bill. At Bryant, the price you're quoted is the price you'll pay. No last-minute extras for piping or ventilation alterations. Need a new water heater? Just call Bryant, 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Back to the YWCA Hour. Here are your hosts, Karen Baldancy and Maisha Essex.
Okay, we're back from the break. I know it was a lot right before.
Welcome back.
We started to get into it.
We did.
But so again, we were talking about reparations. We were talking about restoration.
Yes.
We're talking about how do you replenish? How do you restore? We're talking about the difference between the two.
Right.
And one thing that we said with restorative justice, the key component is making sure you understand how the person you offended wants to be restored and replenished. What do they need to be restored and replenished?
That's a critical element in the process. If that element is not embraced and uplifted, you will not have restorative justice.
You won't. Okay. And then what do you have then? If somehow you still went through the process and you didn't really do that key work of understanding what they need. And so you went in giving them what you think they need.
Right.
And one thing you should know, people are experts in their own experience.
Right.
In their own suffering and in their own harm.
Their own lens.
Right.
Yes.
And so it's very hard when you go in and tell people what they need to thrive without asking them what they feel, because they're the experts in their situation.
Right.
And so if you move forward in that spirit of, I think they need this, so this is what I'm going to do,
Mm-hmm.
and you never connected with them, it's still serving someone, but it's just serving you.
And that's such a critical part to our training that we do when we're facilitating. We talk about the lived experiences, and we try to help our participants understand. If you are not open to hearing that and embracing that, even while you're being uncomfortable, then it's all for naught. It's not going to work.
Yeah. And if you're just putting things in place really to restore yourself and the guilt that you have, right? Or to make yourself look good during the process because you're the person that did this, and that. If you walk away from a situation and you're the only one that feels like, or got something out of it, you might be experiencing some type of saviorship.
Okay.
Right.
So now we're on to a new term.
Right. I know some people here, white savior. We can't get into it. We only got a few minutes.
Right.
Okay? So I can only we can only talk about it just a little bit. But white savior. And that does come up when we go and we talk to other people.
Right.
That terminology, it comes up of like, what's white savior? How do you know if you yourself are exhibiting symptoms of white saviorship?
Okay.
And so what I always
That's different from allyship.
Very much so.
Okay.
And because the ally probably has talked to the people and understand what they want. So white savior, if you've never talked to the person that you've harmed and asked them how to be repaired, then you're only trying to repair yourself and make yourself look a certain way. That is meaning white savior. If you've never talked to the person and asked them about their experience, ask them what they need from this. If you're in there advocating on behalf of a community that you don't even have any connection to, but you're advocating on their behalf and you're saying what they need and what they do. And when you look around your circle, when you look around the people that you engage in, you have no connection to this community.
Not at all.
Ding. That's white saviorship, right? You're you're in there to look like the person who knows it, who has it. And what it is making you feel good because and I hear people say this all the time. I don't mind going in and disrupting it.
Right.
I'm that's you. That's you. It's not my goal to go in anywhere and necessarily be disruptive when I'm going in. It's my goal for equity. I'm going in to make sure that the people that either I represent or that I'm there for, that their voices and their needs are brought to this table. It's not to just be the one in there like I'm the social justice warrior and just know that if you say anything, I'm going to say, like, it's nothing wrong with being a social justice warrior. But if, again, you have not connected with the people you over here on the front lines for, then you definitely, ding, ding, probably have a saviorship complex here.
Yes.
Right. So you need to make sure that at the end of the day, who's actually benefiting?
Right.
Is it your ego? Are we restoring your guilt?
Right.
Who's benefiting from you being in the room? If you benefit more, right? Then we probably that might be a symptom of it, right? If you feel better than the people that you're supposed to be connecting with, then there's something. It's good to feel okay, to feel good when you help somebody. We all do. We all feel good when we help someone. But if the sole motivation of you helping someone is just you feeling good, then you'll do things to make sure that you feel good. And that may not be in alignment with what they need.
Right.
You'll just be doing what you...
And understanding it can't all just happen in a weekend. This is a process.
It is a process, and that's just in life. Like, if you're deciding to go to be in this kind of work, if you're deciding, hey, I want maybe personally some type of restorative justice, it depends on what it is, honestly.
Right.
Something might be restored in a weekend, right? It depends on what was done. But when you're thinking about systematic change, when you're thinking about generational trauma, when you're thinking about those things, there are a lot of conversations that need to be had.
Right.
And there are a lot of processes that should be adhered to in order to make sure that everybody in that room feels heard, everybody in that room feels safe, right? and that eventually when we walk away from this process, there will be restoration on both parts, right?
Right.
Restorative justice means you replenish something that you took away on one end, and then the other end is you've restored yourself in your understanding of something.
Right.
You've learned to move and to be different.
Right.
So but we all have to come to some sort of consensus,
right,
so that can happen.
Yeah. So we hope this has really stirred something in you when you start to think about the history of this country. And as Maisha has helped us to understand today, 6 generations and all of the trauma and, what the real history of America is. I do want to uplift the book by Ta-Nehisi Coates, The Case for Reparations. That's one that could help understand. Maisha has brought up so many different terms that we need to really understand to help us to get to this whole betterment of a community, and that we are all embracing each other. I do. I hope that we can get some feedback from our audience, because this has been an amazing time. And as others continue, as you shared, Maisha, only 150 of these kind of experiences have been documented. We imagine that there has been other iterations of this, but I really appreciate that. I cannot wait until the documentary is sealed and it's been released. We'll come back to that when it is released and continue with that story. I do want us to have the chance to pivot, because here in our Lincoln community, we have an annual event that's coming up, the annual Give to Lincoln Day. We, as the YWCA Lincoln, a nonprofit, with our mission being the elimination of racism and empowerment of women and girls, we are a part of this event. This is how we continue to impact and serve our community through these donations. Give to Lincoln Day is just one day that's set aside for a major fund development campaign, and we are a part of that. We're hoping when you think about what your individual impact and your core values are, and you want to make a difference in the community, that you will support Give to Lincoln Day. There's over 600 nonprofits, we're told, here in Lincoln, Nebraska, and we are one of those that we need your help. We need your support. We invite you to become involved. On our website, www.YWCA Lincoln, we have a donate button. We will have that connected to our Give to Lincoln Day platform. The whole month of May, all of the giving goes toward this Give to Lincoln Day. And for us, it's really important because this augments the funds that we get through our grant structure. And we do have a match donor this year. That means we have a donor that will match so much of the funding that comes through the Give to Lincoln Day. So please think about us when it comes to the Give to
You
Lincoln
really
Day.
can double your impact. You can double your dollar with this generous donor who decided to match us and match whatever comes in. So please go to our website. Please donate. If you like the content, if you like the work that we're doing here in the Lincoln community, we definitely need your help and your support. So please donate.
Thank you. We'll see you next time on the W.